Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and today I'm doing a review of the Resident Evil 9 photo mode. So this will be a quick video because the footage you guys are seeing is literally just, I just picked it up and I played it because as of now it's what, 12:19 for me. The update came out at 10 o'clock and I was like, crap, I was going to sleep and then I had to jump right in. So what you guys are seeing is sped up footage of like my first, I think this is almost like 20 to 30 minutes of me just testing it out. So it's really not me like, doing like my normal photo mode stuff. It's literally like my first experience going through every single pose, going through all the expressions, all the stickers, all the frames, all that stuff. It's literally just like, well, what's in here? Because I had no idea what to expect. I certainly wasn't expecting this to be dropped randomly at 10 o'clock at night. I really wish it was 10 o'clock at night on a Friday and not a Thursday, of course, because I got to go to work in the morning. But I had to do this because I was like, I just have to talk about this right now. So to get it out of the way, 9 out of 10. If I was doing reviews, I don't normally do that. It's normally just my first experience. So, here it is, but I'm just doing it in review form. So I would give it a 9 out of 10 if I had to just throw a random number on it. But to get into the nitty gritty of it, it's a phenomenal update from the Resident Evil 4 remake. And it's just the simple stuff that they added. The poses, which are phenomenal. I love that. The poses are great. Having the different facial expressions is definitely great. Like, these are two things that I never would have expected. Like, I honestly thought, it's just going to be like RE4 remake. Honestly, I was a little scared. I was like, as long as it's not like Dragon's Dogma, because that came out after RE4 remake, but it had like the RE Village photo mode in it where it was really crappy. And I was like, I really hope that doesn't happen again. So fortunately, it's the RE4 camera mode updated. And so that's even better. So I was super happy with that. And when I saw the post, I was shocked. And then I started to see like a couple little posts here and there where it was like, hey, they got poses. And I was like, oh, I think this is going to be pretty fun. And then, they had stickers as well. And I was like, this might be fun. This could be something. So of course, checking it out, Grace has like, what I think was like 36 different poses, which is crazy. And she'll probably have more as well. Obviously in this section, this is like the first part where you have no weapons in the hospital. So I didn't get to test out her weapons as far as her having the handgun or her having the knife or even her having like her unlockable pistol. I assume all of those will look the same. The Requiem will probably be different though, because it was different for Leon. So she'll probably have different poses for that as well. But the characters have different poses for different weapons. Unfortunately, that goes into another element where I was already annoyed. I was like, why doesn't Grace get more unlockable weapons? And then it just makes it worse now that it's in photo mode. I'm like, dang, I really wish she got more unlockable weapons. So I'll have to test that out, but I would assume her pistols are gonna have the same poses because, that's something I'll have to test out, as well with Leon and just get like 2 separate handguns because all I had was the Matilda on me and then I had the Requiem. So they had a couple similar poses where it was like, hey, here's just him like holding the gun. I think most of the guns have the similar pose of like, hey, here he is doing like kind of the hip fire and kind of holding his arm out with the gun, like one-handed and stuff. So I think all the guns tend to have that. I think the carbine probably is the only one that didn't have it, but I think even the shotgun had it where, he had like a hip fire. But the pistols, or the pistol and the Magnum will have it where he's kind of holding the gun all the way out and stuff. So it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I have to test that out with Grace as far as her knife, and then she really only gets pistols, so that's really unfortunate. I don't think hers are going to change, but that's probably why they gave her so many unique poses, because she doesn't have the weapon changes as where Leon, even with Leon though, admittedly, like it's only what 4 different weapon types, because you have the handgun, the Requiem, the shotgun, the sniper, and then the submachine gun. So you have 5 different styles, and I have no idea what to expect from Xeno's gun. I would assume it would be in the same as the Requiem, but I don't really know 100%. But I love the idea for it, and I'm curious to see that, because they even have like the stances where he's actually reloading the gun. So I assume Grace will probably end up having that as well. So I'm looking forward to, checking that out when she has her weapons, and also checking out even more weapons when it comes to Leon. But I love the poses for the characters. Like I said, I love the expressions. The looking at the camera thing was pretty awesome. Although I will say this, you don't actually get the character to look directly at the camera unless you're in a certain position. So it's basically a left, right, center situation where, because this is so sped up, you guys probably didn't see like the 2 seconds I actually spent on it with Grace. But there was a section where I like just barely moved the camera and I was trying to have her look, and I was like, oh, her eyes didn't move. And then I shifted over just a little bit more, and then she looked, it would be her right, but to the left of the screen. And I was like, oh, you have to be in a certain position, and it will jump all the way to the left or the center, or jump all the way to the right. So unfortunately, it's not a minute thing where no matter the position, the character will look at the camera. So you do have to be within a certain range for them to actually be looking directly at the camera. So that's unfortunate, but 3 is better than 0, which is what we had, in RE4. So it's a nice update, but it would have been really awesome if it was very minute and it was literally like, no matter where you're looking, the character can look that way, which I thought was super odd. Cause I'm like, if it can do left, right, and center, why can't it, basically hit the diagonals like right in the middle? It would just be like 2 extra points would pretty much do it. Obviously, if you're doing like literally every single position, it's more than just, 2 extra points, but it is a little odd that it just ends up being a left, right, and center situation. But once again, it's an update, so I appreciate the update, but it's still one of those weird things where like, dang, I wish I had like just that little extra bit to it, but I like what we got. The expressions, like I said, same thing. Don't know if I'm going to use a lot of those, if I'm being honest. Like, that's in a lot of games where it'll be like, this person's like sad or angry or something. And I think it was depressed or uneasy or something with Grace, and it just looked like her eyes just looked closed, like she was just asleep. And I'm like, I probably won't ever use that, but there are a couple other ones. You can get some silly pictures. You can get some pictures of the character scream, especially for Grace. Her just like running, that might be hilarious. Her running down the hallway in third person and tripping, and then you just put like, her screaming. That might be hilarious. Or it could look really cool. It depends on how you do it. But in my head, I'm just thinking that's funny because she already looks hilarious when she's just tripping all over the place. But the options are definitely there. You got the stickers, which are pretty cool. Once again, I probably won't use those very much. The frames, I think, are really, really good, especially the unique frames, because in 4, they were just kind of the basic ones where you get, your 4 bars or the 2 bars on the screen, and they, either top and bottom, go widescreen, or they do like the vertical sort of portrait style where it closes in vertically. And those are really great. And I'm glad that they brought them back, but it is really cool to have extra frames on top of that, especially the ones where it's like, hey, here are just like some cool Resident Evil style frames where you have, pictures on a wire or the shattered screen and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'm definitely appreciative of that. Even if I'm not going to use them too often, there's just certain locations where I'm sure I'll randomly find a picture and be like, oh, I can use this here. So that's really cool. I definitely love the filters, some of which I actually wish were in the main campaign. I think the vivid filter was really good. Especially for Grace, it was good in the hospital. For Leon, the cool frame, I think or cool filter, I should say, is the one that I really ended up using on the outside. But different locations, different filters work. But I think for sure, the vivid is probably gonna be good in like a fully lit setting. I think the hospital, if I'm being totally honest, the vivid setting or filter in the hospital is probably gonna be what I end up using every single time I take a picture in the hospital, unless I'm really trying to get something specific. But it's so well, like perfectly lit, that I'm probably gonna end up enjoying that a lot. But the cool filter was definitely great for Leon, which you guys will see, as it gets like right to the end of the video. But definitely loved the photo mode. I think it's a really good update. I'm very excited to test it out in some other locations. Only thing that I really do believe is missing is simply the fact that you can't really pull back too far. I would love it if they added lights, but pulling back the camera and being stuck to still being like relatively close to the character, that's the only thing that sucks. Especially with this game where there's so many locations, the hospital itself. I would love to be able to take a picture of Grace, if say you're in the banquet area and you want to get a picture from the balcony, I would love that, but that's not possible. So sadly, at some point, I will still have to get this on PC just to get like some random pictures that I want to get. Although I've seen a bunch of edited pictures recently as I was kind of going through the photo mode. There was someone that was posting like a bunch of pictures that they did that were like super edited. And I was like, man, these look really good. But they had like characters in like impossible interaction where they like shrunk characters down and had characters like giant size and stuff. And I was like, these look amazing. They're just literally impossible to do unless you, use like the framework tools and stuff, but they look great. They were phenomenal pictures, but I was like, man, I kind of wish I could do that. But sadly, I bought it on PS5, which hopefully won't be sad because they're going to do that PSVR update. And as soon as they do, I'll be happy again. But so far, I'm loving the photo mode, the little bit that I actually played around with it and tested and just enjoyed. Honestly, like it was 20 to 30 minutes of joy for me. And I was waiting for this. Definitely thought we were gonna have to wait longer, by the way, because they're like, oh yeah, we're doing this. We got photo mode and the DLC, and that's coming in May. And I was like, okay, so the photo mode probably might come out before the DLC, but I thought they would at least do something. I didn't think it was gonna be a 10 p.m. Yeah, we did an update, photo mode's out. I was like, oh, all right, so I'm on it. But I love what we got. I love the filters. I love the expressions. Oh, I do have to point this out. Why does Leon have 15 variations of that kick? Dramatic pause. But that's a serious question. Like, why did they do that? All the beautiful stuff they had for Grace, where it's like, oh, she doesn't even sit on the ground at any point. Like, basically all those poses where she's like sitting down and stuff like that, I'm like, that literally doesn't even happen in the game. And then Leon, they're like, I don't know, like, he does that kick. Yeah, he does one kick. What if we do every frame of the kick as a different stance? And it's like, well, okay. I guess. I mean, that I would have thought that some of the poses would just be something else, but it was just like, nah, kick, 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 and also a kick, and a couple more after that. So it's like, okay, it is what it is. But that's just interesting. I have to throw that out there, like, to end this video. Like, why did they do that for so many things? It's like just one, like, unless I'm crazy, but he only does like 2 to 3 kicks in the whole game. Like, you know, literally one of them is like that flying pose kick, which I thought was hilarious. And like when it's totally still, it's like, okay, that's kind of funny. But thought that was something worth kind of dropping here at the end. Like, why like, what? So many kicks, just straight up kick pose for so long. Very odd. Like, I'm looking at it right now, like going through it, and it started at number 4. And I'm just going up. I'm at 12, still doing the kick. 13, doing the kick again. Like, okay. 11, kick again. Like 14, he's slightly off the ground now, doing the kick. 15 is like the full-on flying kick. But from 4 to 15 is a kick variation? That's insane. But he does have some cool poses in there too. So it's at least, you know, there's still some stuff you can get with it. It's not like there's, you know, it's limiting. It's just weird. It's like, I just don't know if I'm going to be doing all these different poses. Actually, I'm back up again. 16 and 17 are back to the kick. And then he goes into the punches and stuff. So crazy. So crazy. Also, pose 22, where he has like his arm up in the air, instantly thought of Street Fighter. Like, I literally did a pose with that with my Ryu figure. I was like, that's hilarious. Like, it literally instantly made me think of Street Fighter. But to end this out, so this isn't going on too long. It was impromptu anyway, even though it's like the 3rd or 4th time I've done this, because I've had to make sure I got all my points in. This is great. I love the additions. I love the poses. Like I said, the expressions are great. We just wish we were untethered. That's like the only thing. You know, I do wish we had individual lights as well, but being untethered is really the thing that I think is more important than anything else. Like, just let me pull the camera back super far. Let me be all the way down the street and just get a cool shot. Like, that would be amazing. But sadly, you can only do that when it comes to editing. But with what we have in this photo mode, you can still take some amazing shots. I definitely love the couple that I kind of played around with, but I'm very excited to like really deep dive into it and go back through the locations and get like the enemies and stuff up close, and like zombies. Like, all I did were the characters. I didn't even walk up on any enemies. So I'm super excited for that. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. There's, you know, I get pictures of the spider, pictures of Lakers, pictures of like the other army characters, regular zombies, blister heads, the chef, Chunk. Like, there's a lot to do. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting some pictures. And the very last thing that I want to reference, it was a small update, but a really, really appreciated one. The focal distance, the foreground and background blur, is a really great feature that was in the 4 remake, but it was super weird and complicated, where it was like it was like I think you had to do the foreground first, or you had to do the background, take it all the way up, and then go down one more, and then like move that meter all the way up. So them having the button where it's just an on-off switch for both of them, the foreground and the background, perfect. That is genuinely, because it's a great feature to have a foreground blur and a background blur individually, but the way they did it was so oddly complicated, where it was like you had to push the meter all the way up and then go down and push another meter all the way up. And it was like, now you can just set it and then just hit a button to be like, okay, that's where it is. And so it's just way less complicated. So you can actually tell exactly what's changing, instead of being like, am I moving the right meter? Am I not moving the right meter? Because if you move one the wrong way, then it would actually affect both of them. Even if you put the blur all the way up, it'd be like, why isn't this changing right? So it was oddly complicated. I'm very happy. That's one of those updates where it's like the additions of poses and stuff is great. They literally improved something that already existed. And so that is definitely one of my favorite components. So I wanted to end on that one because that's something that I thought was a really great feature that was unfortunately complicated in the 4 remake, and you just had to like relearn it. And in this one, I think it'll be a lot easier for people, including myself, because the last time I actually did the photo mode in 4, which is like one of the videos you guys can watch, specifically the Ada video. If you watch that one, you probably won't be able to tell because I sped it up so insanely fast. But through like 90% of that, I wasn't getting the background blur the way I wanted. And then I finally figured out exactly what I was doing wrong. And I was like, crap, I've been doing this for like 30, 40 minutes now. And it was a total game changer to get like the actual blur that I wanted. And it's just much less complicated now. So wanted to end on that because that's literally an improvement to something that was already in here and not just a great addition. An actual improvement will always stand out to me more than just like a really cool addition. Granted, adding poses is a huge addition though. Glad with everything they added. I wish we could have got individual lights. That's always another favorite feature of mine, to just be like, hey, let me just make the background pitch black or be in a pitch black area and then just hit them with a spotlight however I want to. But with what we got, I'm definitely happy with this photo mode. So of course, if you guys have tested it out, you guys have any thoughts, any comments, any things that you guys wish was added on, any improvements that you guys, kind of recognize from RE4, I would say from Village, but anything is an upgrade on Village because that's like the worst photo mode I've ever experienced. But if you guys have any thoughts in general, please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.